We're going to turn now to our next guest, formerly a writer and showrunner for the Netflix series Dear White People, and current showrunner and writer for the upcoming Queer as Folk reboot. As a trans woman, she decided to take a stand in light of Dave Chappelle's recent Netflix comedy special, The Closer, tweeting she will no longer work with Netflix as long as they continue to put out and profit from what she calls blatantly and dangerously transphobic content.
And joining us now on this LGBTQ+ Spirit Day to talk about that decision and all kinds of stuff, in studio with us, please welcome writer, showrunner, and executive producer Jaclyn Moore. Good to have you in studio.
Good to be here.
And you're saying this is your first trip back. We've gotten this a couple of times from guests in studio. They hadn't been back to New York the whole pandemic.
It's so lovely to be back under totally normal circumstances.
Yeah.
This is how I imagined my trip back would go.
Right. Well, okay, look, we got to start this with Dave Chappelle. And look, everybody's wanting to hear from you, and people have been turning to you. But do I have right? You don't necessarily have a problem with him and his comedy. Your problem is really with Netflix putting it out.
Yeah, I mean, look, as a longtime fan of Dave Chappelle, I'm certainly disappointed.
Yeah.
Just because it is hurtful and not just, I think sometimes it gets twisted that it's like, oh, people are offended. I'm not offended. My feelings aren't hurt. Yeah. My bones hurt when people throw me into walls when I leave women's bathrooms, or when beer bottles get thrown at me. That hurts. And the language those people use is the same language that Dave uses in the special.
Yeah, and you've said you don't want to censor Dave Chappelle. You don't want to cancel Dave Chappelle. What do you want to happen?
Sure. I mean, Dave, I have to underline this. I feel like Dave has the right to say whatever he wants, and that's great. I have the right to say that it is dangerous and to use my voice to try to raise awareness and make change.
But you're not going to be a part of it until what? When would you consider working with Netflix again?
I don't know what it would take to specifically do it because I don't think it's my job to fix their problem. Similarly, I'm here partially because of LGBTQ Spirit Day, which is in a lot of ways, I mean, it's a day that is about creating safe spaces for LGBT youth to not be bullied. And it's not the job of the bullied to convince the bullies to stop bullying them. It's the job of everybody else to say, hey, this is not a safe space for the bully.
In terms of, you say, dangerous content, can you, I know you touched on it a little bit, but just to give our viewers a real sense of what it's like to be trans and what you face.
Go to my Twitter and look at my replies. It's, for every one person that said, Jaclyn, I don't think you understood what Dave was saying. He was actually trying to spread a message of love for the trans community and just was crossing boundaries and, pushing the boundaries as comedians do along the way. For every one person that says that, there's 99 people who are saying, Dave's right, you'll never be a woman. You're delusional. I posted a photo on Instagram of me and my sister who visited me in New Orleans this past weekend, and it just said sisters having brunch. And you know what the number one comment was? Don't you mean brother? Another comment I got a lot was, if I scroll back in your Instagram and then scroll to the top, I can see your mental decline in real time.
When you read all that stuff online, those replies, I mean, that's got to be exhausting.
You try not to. Digital self-harm is a real problem. That's something I think, especially on Spirit Day and for, trans youth. I went to an all-boy Catholic high school, which, being a closeted queer person and a closeted trans person, not the best place for me. But so I know a thing about bullying, but it doesn't go away. And I think especially as a trans person, as a visible trans person in our society, trans rights are 30 to 40 years behind gay rights in this country. You go back and, I'm in New Orleans doing the reboot of Queer as Folk right now. And the upstairs lounge was the deadliest attack against gay people in this country up until Pulse a few years ago. And it was in the 1970s. There were more articles about the upstairs lounge in the 4 months after the Pulse shooting than there were in the 40 years between them. Wow. And part of that is because people just didn't care about gay rights. When that fire happened, there was a third of the population believed that gay people being allowed to speak publicly was wrong. And I know that's a actual survey stat from the 70s. And I feel like we are currently 40 years behind that for trans people. It's now some people know you're not supposed to hate us, but a lot of people still do, very vocally.
Jaclyn, I'm so glad we got to have you in studio.
Oh, I'm so glad to be here.
Appreciate you speaking up, appreciate your candor, appreciate your energy.
Wow.
It's nice to have you
Thank
here.
you.
And I know it's not done. We're going to see plenty from you down the road. Good luck on the show, of course.
Thank you so
much. But also, I know this journey and the back and forth with Netflix probably is not over, and we're going to hear more about it down the road, okay?
Yeah,
but it's good to have you here.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me.
Thank you, Jaclyn. We appreciate it.
Well, hey there, GMA fans. Robin Roberts here. Thanks for checking out our YouTube channel. Lots of great stuff here. So go on, click the subscribe button right over here to get more of awesome videos and content from GMA every day, anytime. We thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the morning on GMA.